Okay, so Trump has been found guilty. Let's talk about it.
And by the way, everyone's against this case. I haven't seen one legal scholar or expert in the law say that this case should have been filed. It should not have been filed, or at a minimum, it should have been filed 7 years ago. It's 7 years old. Everybody turned it down, including federal elections turned it down. Southern District turned it down. Bragg turned it down. Then he rejuvenated it when I was running for office. It's a terrible thing. At the request of Biden. And by the way, everyone's against this case. I haven't seen one legal scholar. This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA, and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win. Because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists. And they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
So, Donald Trump is guilty of all 34 convictions. Something going on behind the scenes. And later on in this video, I'm going to show a clip of him sitting down with Fox News and is talking about this case and some of the things that he can't talk about because he has a gag order, and then on top of that there's a lot of things that that are confidential that he can't talk about, that things are happening behind the scenes. And I wholeheartedly believe that definitely there is something going on behind the scenes. I know for me, I wasn't someone that was really into politics, as I've been sharing before. And just slowly, as I've been learning, you can obviously see, just from someone just looking on the outside, you can obviously see that there is some wrongdoing that is going on. Because as someone who is convicted of something that has happened like 7-8 years ago, and then now doing doing his campaign, they are now wanting to bring him to court and serve him papers and things like that, and so give him a gag order. You can definitely tell that there is definitely something behind the scenes. Now, I'm going to show this video of Biden. They are, after this ruling that has happened, Trump was found guilty. They asked Biden, so what are your thoughts on that? Do you have any comments? And then you just see this like smirk looking smile look that he has on his face. He turns around, gives like a side slide gives like a side smirk. What is that? Why is he doing that?
I need your help. Everyone who wants peace now must raise their voices and let the leaders know they should take this deal, work to make it real, make it lasting, and forge a better future out of the tragic terror attack and war. It's time to begin this new stage. For the hostages to come home, for Israel to be secure, for the suffering to stop. It's time for this war to end, and for the day after to begin. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign? We'd love to hear your thoughts, sir.
Should he be on the ballot?
So did you guys see that? Did you guys see this video? It just looks crazy. It looks suspicious, okay? And so they throw in words and saying things about Trump like he's a threat to democracy, and you know he's gonna turn this this country upside down. You know he was president before, right? I mean, is anybody thinking this through? You know he was president before, and so Biden is the one that is actually doing what you're saying that Trump is doing, okay? Or Trump will do, okay? Biden is letting in people in this country illegally. You know, I have seen a couple of videos of people that are coming into America or into the U.S. and there was this one guy, reporter that was interviewing the people that were coming in to the United States, and most of them was from the Middle East, okay? There was some that was coming from Mexico and some that was coming from, you know, all different countries, but they were mostly coming from the Middle East, okay? There was a video out about that. I definitely encourage you to, you know, look it up. But this is crazy. This is crazy. And so my next video tomorrow, I'm going to show just some of the things that people are saying, mostly black men that are talking about Trump and who they're going to vote for. And I have a clip of Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club, and he's interviewing different people and asking if they're going to vote for Biden or Trump, and or if they had any comments about Trump's guilty convictions. And so Charlemagne is talking about, oh, you know, nobody is talking about the good things that Biden is doing. And then one of the things that Charlemagne mentions is, he mentions, oh, you know, Biden gave so much more money than Trump in HBCU colleges. And I'm thinking to myself, what does HBCU colleges have to do with the high gas prices that are actually affecting me as a person, okay? Me as an individual, you know, when you are trying to find a job, you need a car to get there, and you need food to eat and take care of your family. How are you doing that? But you are congratulating the president on the fact that he gave more money than Trump to HBCU colleges. Okay, do not get me started on the whole, you know, black universities and how, you know, some of these things are just even the education system and all of that. We are not going to even go there. But the fact that you're mentioning the fact that it's almost like he's grasping at straws. What are some good things that Biden is doing that we can highlight more than Trump? And the main thing that people care about is the fact that we have high gas prices, we have barely any jobs, and there are high food prices. You can barely take care of your family with everything is so high nowadays. And so again, I'm gonna show this last clip, and it is just Donald Trump, and Fox and Friends is asking Donald Trump about his whole conviction, how he feels, how his family feels. And you know, I thought that this was really interesting, and a lot of things that he's been talking about, Trump has been talking about, is just so true. And then not only that, I actually encourage you to take a look at that whole interview. It's about an hour and a half, and it is just so good. Some of these people are asking really good questions, and it answered a lot of my questions. So here's just a 10-minute clip of just, you know, them asking him questions, just how he's doing.
Well, look, you know, I'm fighting for the Constitution. I'm fighting for the same thing that you three. I watch you all the time, and same thing that you do. You fight for freedom. You fight for your country. These people are sick. They're sick. They're deranged. You know, I talk about the enemy on the outside and the enemy from within. So you have Russia, you have China. But if you have a smart president, you always handle him quite easily, actually. We have a lot of advantages. But the enemy from within, they are doing damage to this country. They want open borders. They want high interest rates. They now want to quadruple your taxes. Quadruple. You know, all my life I watched politics, and it was always like politicians want to lower taxes, not quadruple them. There's a whole sickness going on right now. So We're doing really well. It was a tough venue. We tried to get out of the venue. We tried to get out of the judge, but we tried to get out of both. Wouldn't even think about it. So we had probably maybe the worst area in the whole country for me, in terms of vote. I'm sure if I sat down and explained it to that section of the world, we could probably make progress. But one of the worst sections, and they always bring them in these sections, D.C., there, places where Republicans, not just me, Republicans get like virtually no votes. But the good news is that I think we've set a record beyond all records for fundraising. That's like a poll. And another one just came out just before I got in that we're 6 points higher than we were before. So I don't know if that holds up. I mean, I'm just not sure. But people get it. It's a scam. And the Republican Party is really, they've stuck. They stick together in this. They see it's weaponization of the Justice Department, of the FBI. And, that's all coming out of Washington. You may think it's brag. Take a look at who opened the case. I'm not allowed to talk about it because I have a gag order. I'm probably, I guess, the first presidential nominee and the leading crooked Joe by a lot that's not allowed to talk. Maybe they're doing me a big favor, who knows? But I'm not allowed to talk. I'm gagged. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's all coming out. It's weaponization, and it's a very dangerous thing. We've never had that in this country. They do have it in other countries, in South American countries. You know a little bit about it, right?
Well, that actually leads me to my question. I think for a lot of Americans, what's happened to you feels foreign. Like this has never happened here before.
Yeah.
But for Hispanic Americans, people coming from Latin America, this feels very familiar.
Yeah.
And in those countries, people are imprisoned. Instead of going to the ballot box and fighting there, they're on house arrest. They're told they can't run for office. What is your message? And by the way, I think a lot of Hispanic Americans, I hear from them, they're scared about what they see. What's your message to them about what happened to you and about how scared they are that our country is turning into the countries that they left behind, the corrupt, dysfunctional countries they left behind?
And they are scared, and they're great people, and very entrepreneurial, great energy. And as you know, I'm doing very well with them. I mean, beyond anybody, I don't think anybody's ever had polling.
Do you think this is why, a little bit?
I think a little bit. And they've always liked me, and I've always liked them. I've done well from the beginning. In 2016, I won the entire border along Texas, and they're all like 85%. And it's been great from the beginning, and now I'm leading. I think I'm leading over this guy that can't put two sentences together, that's destroying our country. Look, he's the worst president in the history of this country, and he's a danger to the country. And, they have misinformation. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. It's just words. He doesn't even know what it means. But it's like their slogan, I'm a threat to democracy. I'm the opposite. They're the threat to democracy.
Mr. President, I want to return to the verdict, and I want to explore something you've said several times already in the conversation. You've referenced these people. I'm sure you've seen the video of Joe Biden when he was asked about the verdict, and he gave sort of a smirk to the camera.
Terrible. Remember, Bragg didn't want to do the case. He came out. He said, there's no case, and how can you have a witness like so-and-so? I'm not allowed to mention the name. Can you believe this? This guy's allowed to have shows, television shows. I'm not allowed to mention the name. It's so unfair. But regardless, you have to really play the hand that you're dealt. And then you had a jury that was, from a certain persuasion. Would have been hard to do no matter what. But I did absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, absolutely. Think of it. I hate when they say a bookkeeping, this and that. It's not. It's called, think of it, expense. I use the word expense. Legal expense. I pay a lawyer. He wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer at the time. I pay a lawyer, and he's a lawyer. It's called legal expense. A bookkeeper, without ever speaking to me because she did the right thing, who's been with me for years, marks it down as legal expense. In other words, I paid a legal expense. It's marked down as a legal expense. And they say that's a fraud. What am I going to call it? Did you ever see a ledger? Do you ever study accounting? The line's like about an inch long and an eighth of an inch wide. You can't write the story. But there is no story. If you pay a legal expense and you write it down as a legal expense, and then they indict you and they go to a grand jury, and they don't use Bob Casella's testimony. They use almost none of it. They didn't want him before the grand jury because he's very persuasive. This judge didn't want him to talk. They shouldn't have allowed certain people to testify. It was totally wrong that they did that. So everyone tells me this is the easiest case they've ever seen to overturn, but They don't care because they want to last till after the election. Now, the only problem they have is that so far my poll numbers have gone up. You explain this to me because I don't. Pete maybe can explain it. Maybe Will. I don't know. Maybe Will can. They're smart in Texas, right? But the poll numbers have gone up substantially. I don't know if that's going to remain that way.
You changed your tone at some point during the trial. I would say maybe a bit more hopeful in the beginning, and then towards the end you said something to the effect of even Mother Teresa couldn't be acquitted in this venue. Was there a moment in the trial that you felt like it turned, or you saw that it was headed in a certain direction?
Well, when you object to something, your lawyers object, good lawyers, professional lawyers, good records, nice people. You know, I've had a lot of lawyers that weren't nice, and sometimes you're better off that way. These are really fine people. They'd object. Not accepted, not accepted, not accepted. When the government, meaning the DA, Bragg, when he said something, all right, good, that's fine. Go ahead, more. But the main thing is this, that this was turned down by the Southern District. This is over years. This could have been brought 7 years ago. You know, they tried to rush it because they wanted it before the election. But this could have been brought 7 years ago, but they didn't have any intention. A case like this has never been brought before. And there's never been a case where a state has gone after a federal election. In other words, that's for a federal. That's for like the Southern District to go. Southern District turned it down. We got clearance from the FEC, Federal Election Commission, clearance. They're suing, saying we violated a thing, but they gave us clearance. But the charge was written, I mean, it was like a weird charge. You'd have a little of this, a little of that, do a little of this, throw a little, mix it up.
You set the arraignment date for 4 days before the RNC.
Yeah, well, that's part of the game.
It is. Some have suggested you could appeal straight to the Supreme Court because of the
Yeah.
special nature of this case. When it comes to the legal maze that you're still facing, and the judge could decide to say, hey, house arrest or even jail.
It
How
could.
do you face what that could look
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, oh, no, you don't want to do that to the president. I said, you don't beg for anything. You just, the way it is. Think of it. They have all my books. You know, they went to, for 5 years, they sued me getting my tax returns, right? At the end of 5 years, they got them. The Supreme Court actually gave it to them. That was the end of it. That was it. They never found anything. They hired the best accounting firms. I had a pure gold firm. They call it a gold-rated firm. I don't know. It's supposed to be. Who knows? But with all that stuff, for years you heard about my tax.
They never looked into the Clinton Foundation.
And they never found it. They never went all the way with the Clinton Foundation. They never went all the way with the Clinton Foundation, which is sort of interesting, isn't it? But so that could happen. I don't know that the public would stand it. You know, I'm not sure the public would stand for it. With a,
You're saying if they tried house arrest or...
I think it would be tough for the public to take. You know, at a certain point, there's a breaking point.
People ask you, why do you do this? How can you do this? I mean, not to mention the rally after rally, the energy. But maybe the question isn't how do you do this over and over, but how does your family do this? All the obstacles, these are things you care about. Your ambitions for the country. What about everybody around you?
So I think in many ways it's tougher on them than it is on me. They're good people, all of them, everyone. I have a wonderful wife who has to listen to this stuff all the time. They do that for this reason. They do that, all these salacious names that they put in of these people. And I'm not even allowed to defend myself because of a gag order. Think of it. But they put this stuff in to create havoc. These are bad people. I know everything they're doing. I know every move they make. I get it. But a lot of people don't. But it's tougher. I think it's probably, in many ways, it's tougher on my family than it is on me. You know,
how's Melania doing with that?
she's fine, but I think it's very hard for her. I mean, she's fine. But it's, she has to read all this crap.
What about Barron? People started to focus on Barron recently.
He's amazing, actually, in a certain way. He's tall, good-looking guy. He's a very good student. And he's applied to colleges and gets into everywhere he goes. He's very sought after from the standpoint. He's a very smart guy. He's a very tall guy, but he's a great kid. He's cool. He's pretty cool, I'll tell you. It's very interesting. The colleges, 6 months ago, you look at a college and you sort of want a certain college, and then you see all of these colleges are rioting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe you want to go to a different kind of a college, because there's plenty of colleges that we also like that are different, and they don't riot.
You heard about this interview. Again, I'm going to link the whole interview in the description box below so you can definitely check it out. But I also forgot to mention too that right after the guilty verdict, he started to raise money for his campaign. And do you know how much he raised money for? $141 million, okay? If you check out his Instagram, and you can see a lot of the up-to-date things that are happening with his campaign. And if you take a look and see that the latest amount is $141 million. And then when people tried to even donate more, they started to complain that his website crashed because of how much people who were once Democrats, who once hated Trump, and who once was totally against and for Biden just did a turnaround and started donating money towards his campaign because they really want him to win. And so I just want to end by saying this, that Donald Trump, even if Donald Trump was to lose, and then we have some other random person that is the president and not Joe Biden, or even if he were to be the president, okay, God is still on the throne. God still does things behind the scene. He is still has the power to do moving parts and do things for this country that no man can do. And so I want to encourage you to lean on God and not on what Joe Biden is doing or what Trump is doing or anybody else during this whole campaign. Definitely lean on God, as Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, when it talks about leaning on God, not leaning on our own understanding, but we need to trust in God and know that God is still King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And so thank you guys so much for watching. I want to know more about your opinions. Let me know in the comments below. Let's continue this discussion. Let's continue this conversation and let's talk more about it. I am loving, again, all of your opinions, the positive and the negatives. I love that everybody is subscribing. Again, please subscribe to my channel. Definitely come back and let's continue this discussion, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. Be blessed.